Hello everyone, welcome to Paint a Red Barn in Winter, a watercolor painting set on a farm with a tree strung with lights. Once you have your drawing on your watercolor paper, mask some of the lights randomly around the tree branches and then let it dry. I am using my embossing tool to get some masking fluid out of the lid. When it is completely dry, I flip the painting upside down and prop it up on a roll of tape so that it is at an angle. I'm then making the warm color in the sky at the horizon. And I am making a mistake here because I made it even with the top of the roof, which is called a tangent. So if I were you, I would not go as high with the yellow as I did and come down lower with the blue. I do end up fixing it at the end of the painting. I took out the roll of tape so that it can dry flat. Before it dries, I'm adding some thick burnt umber along the horizon so that it looks like bushes. I'm also going to add in some moon glow. Both are by Daniel Smith. I just love how it diffuses in the damp paper. I'm just darkening some of the values so that it doesn't all look the same. I want it to look like it has some shadows. And here I'm just varying the height. Now I am using the end of a plastic card to scrape in a few trunks and branches. At the end, I kind of wished I hadn't done that, but it looked fine. I have added in some of the snow color and added salt and let it dry. And here I am beginning work on the tree. I've mixed 3 of the colors to get a brown. And being quite careful with these initial branches. I'm using a number 3 brush, so it's putting down some thicker branches, and I'll later switch to a number 1. Here I am with the number 1 to make some thinner branches. And I want to give this tree a 3D effect, so I'm making the branches that are supposed to be on the back side of the tree a lighter brown. And just all over varying the shades of brown. I am holding the brush up on its tip and not putting very much pressure so that I get sort of thin, wispy branches. Adding some darker brown to the front of the tree, on the trunk, and to a few of the branches at the bottom of the base of branches. I'm adding a little shadow at the bottom of the trunk to anchor that tree down into the snow. I've completed the top section of the roof, and here I am working on the second section. I'm adding in a gray, wet and wet, so that it will disperse across the roof. Here I have painted one layer of red on the barn, and now I am adding a second layer of red with a little bit of blue added into it so that it looks like a shadow color. The sun is behind the barn, so I want the front of the barn that we are looking at to be darker. It's okay if your windows don't come out perfect. Mine come out pretty wonky towards the end, and that's perfectly okay. I'm adding another shadow under the eaves and getting the shape of the roof correct. There's also shadow next to the trim of the windows and the trim of the walls. And here I'm starting to add in the color inside the windows. And the door. I've added another layer of color in the windows and some more shadow to the door. And here I am putting on a final dark layer in the windows, trying to make that white trim stand out. Here I am adding the fence by just painting in some leaning sticks and connecting them with some irregular lines. I also go ahead and add in the dead grasses that we see in the reference photo in the foreground. This tutorial is available on Patreon. My Patreon is $5 a month, and I have over 10 tutorials now. If you want the in-depth and full-length video, reference photo, outlines in many sizes, and value study and supply list, you can head there and get all of that for $5 a month. And the link will be in the description. I'm adding a little bit of shadow color on the door because I don't want it to be so stark white. And now I've gotten out my bleed proof white, Dr. Martens, to add a little white back into the windows. So look around at your own painting and see if there are any spaces that need to be whiter. I've removed the masking fluid from the tree and am now adding color into all of the lights. I am just randomly putting different colors all around. I'm removing a little bit of the color on the foreground so that it looks like the barn and the tree are sitting slightly uphill. And then I use my craft knife to scrape out a few sparkles in the snow. And we're finished. Or so I think. The next day I decided to tape it back down and add a little bit of blue, going further down the sides of the barn so that I didn't have that perfect line from the top of the roof all the way across each side of the paper. So I'm adding a light value of blue and then blending it with some clear water. I don't want to get a hard line, so I am going to blend that watermark until my brush is almost dry with clear water. I'm not painting anything else in the sky. It's just blending clear water. And then once that's dry, I am finished. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you next time.